if that was hindering the reputation that Rusty was developing as a racer was hindering did you develop any animosity, or was there ever any friction between you and Rusty?
Never. And that needs to be told. And a lot of people think it's corny because I tell somebody I love my mom, she's pretty tough. Quit saying you love people. I'm like, well,
no, you gotta love people.
But
love people.
I love Rusty, and I love Mike to death. They were good for me. They spoiled me ass right. Now, Rusty pissed me off a lot, crushed me. I mean, Rusty would be so damn mean to me, but later on I realized, he meant good for me. I mean, if it weren't for Rusty, I would have never made it to NASCAR.
I agree with that.
Right. No, I was never mad at Rusty.
Yeah.
Because one thing I learned at an early life is that Rusty was so, great athletes are so damn laser focused. They see nothing around them except what they want to do. But I tell you, I realized that only about 5 years ago.
Oh.
It's not till I got in my 50s where I realized, hey, that's why he was a prick, because he knew, you know what I mean? So a lot of people don't like my brother, because he's very forthright. It took me to be 50-something years, because I watched his interview here. It's not that Rusty, now don't let me change here, but it's not that Rusty didn't like Jeff Gordon. It's just that, Rusty's the man. Yeah. How dare you think you're going to,
sure.
be, I'm the man, not you.
I thought he was very honest about that point.
Yes.
Rusty admitted, he's like, look, it was ego. It was him and Earnhardt's time.
Yes.
He wanted to be Earnhardt, and this kid shows up and messes up what he had in mind.
You got it.
Yeah, he admitted that, though. I thought it was pretty big.
And one thing I want to put in Rusty's mouth for him is that your dad, Dale Sr. was Rusty's God. If there was a picture being taken, Rusty made sure he was by your dad. And there's an old saying, every man, your dad was a man. Everybody wanted to be Dale Sr. Well, so did Rusty. So, that's the only time I've ever seen my brother. I always say there's only a couple people that Rusty listened to. Roger Penske, well, probably Patty first, his wife. Patty, Roger Penske, and Dale Sr.
Yeah.
But I never had any animosity towards Rusty. There's times I wanted to, he crushed me, hurt my feelings. I think the biggest thing that hurt me was that great drivers, and I put this on Twitter and I said it to you, great drivers just don't understand why you're not great. Rusty wanted me to be good so bad. And damn it, I was trying. That's all I had, I never had any animosity towards any of my brothers. Now, they pissed me off and I wanted to kill them. But later on, I got over
brothers.
Yeah. You moved home, and when you moved back home to St. Louis after your little stint in the Cup Series, you said you moved back and became a race car driver.
Yeah.
And I've seen pictures of you driving Rusty's ASA car, the yellow and red 66. Is that the car you went home to drive?
No, and I can see how that's a little wrong. Never
Help
drove
me.
this. No, you're close. What I did is I stole Rusty's exact paint job and put 36 on it.
And put it on someone else's car.
Put it on my car.
You had your own car.
So I moved. One of the reasons I moved back to St. Louis is because a guy named John Childs. I literally called him up and said, John, I want to be a race car driver. Will you help me?
Childs on the side of the car.
Childs Tire. Childs Tire was a group of brothers that owned some tire stores. And that group, they helped Rusty. Rusty, I tell you right now, we would not be where we're at without John Childs Tire. So I'll never forget it. I go out to John's. I said, man, I need help, da-da-da. He says he's going to help me. I mean, I'm euphoric. I'm over the top. I'm going to be a race car driver. I leave and I stop at this Waffle House, and there's a payphone there. And I call Kim up at the time, and I said, Kim, I'm going to be a race car driver. Oh, my God, it was the most exciting thing in my life because I thought up until then, how do you become a race car driver? Well, I mean, how the hell am I going to pay $20,000 for a motor? I can't even fan these numbers at the time. I mean, I want to be a race car driver, and I have nothing. I'm living in an apartment. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was John Childs Tire. My dad put up a $10,000 CD that he saved up his whole life, put it up for collateral. I borrowed money to buy an old newspaper truck. And so I bought the newspaper truck, turn it into a hauler. My wife, Kim, bought my very first Dillon trailer. So, borrowed money to buy the truck. Kim bought the trailer. She's working at a cafeteria. John Childs helps me with the car. And we're off and running.
You're off and
What
running.
kind of car? Was it a used car?
A Dillon.
Brand new Dillon or
Brand
used
new
car?
Dillon car, yeah. And that was where John came in, John Childs.
And so you got this car.
Yeah.
And now you're going to go race.
Yeah.
Right? What'd you run?
I ran 1986 ASA, American Speed Association. And ASA was the NASCAR.
That was legit.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, super legit.
Yeah,
I mean, that's where you started, basically.
Some deep waters.
Yeah, I moved up to. It's kind of funny because when I look back, I went, "Oh my gosh, I went big time right away."
You did.
And I think that Rusty gave me some shortcuts there, gave me some great setups. I'd wait. I mean, stop and think about it. I don't start racing until I got in my first real race car. Now in '82, I ran that old hobby car.
Right.
'82. I don't start racing till I'm 22 years old. My very first time in a race car. So, and I went right to ASA. Won Rookie of the Year against Gary St. Amant. Wasn't good. I always say there's a difference between being good and great. You're a great talent. I don't have the talent you have. You got great talent. I could tell that right away. I followed you in a practice session at Gateway. And you come off the corner feeding it out to the wall loose. And you probably didn't know you were loose. But I had to learn that.
Yeah.
I asked my brother Rusty one time, I said, how you drive a car loose? He says, well, he said, you feed it out to the wall, because it starts to come around. And you did that off of turn 4. You don't even remember it. But you're a good talent.
Thank you.
You're a good race car driver.
Thank you.
Yep.
So you run an ASA series, win Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
All right. How long did you run in the ASA series?
86,
86, 87?
87, and 88.
And so what were those other 2 years like for you?
Good. Learning how to drive a race car. I mean, I'm not defending myself, but you guys said it. Stop and think about it. I don't drive anything. I don't drive a hobby car, nothing. I get into the highest form of racing, ASA. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're talking Mark Martin, Dick Trickle, Bob Seneker, Mike Eddy. These are the greatest drivers of all time. And I go in and now I'm competitive because I knew the setups. Because I'm with Rusty helping him. So I could build a good car, I knew all these little idiosyncrasies. One Rookie of the Year, I remember Howie Leto telling me that 87 was my best year. We lost Howie. But 87, 88, just learned to be a race car driver.
What were you doing during the week? Still working on vacuums at all?
Still working on vacuum cleaners. And Dad...
And that was a family business.
Uncle Gary.
Uncle Gary.
Let it be known, wherever the damn cameras, well, there was plural, we had no money, okay? Doesn't it piss you off when people think you're shot in the ass with diamonds growing up as a kid? I mean, it's like if you only damn knew.
Right.
Like Kelly posting that damn picture, that single-wide mobile home. I'm like, you don't get it. People, Rusty says something perfect. You like that, didn't you?
Yes.
Because they think since you're Dale Sr.'s boy that you just got all this money in the world. You got to remind them how broke ass you were.
Yeah.
People need to have knowledge. Rusty told me one day, he says, Herm, it's sad to say you got to remind people because they remember what they want to. So mind you, I mean, we're broke ass growing up, as kids. And hell, I remember I had an Amoco credit card, and they took it from me because
Amoco?
Amoco.
Amoco. Gotcha.
Gas card.
Amoco gas card.
Yeah. So they took it from me because I couldn't pay it. I never do business with them again. Yeah. They should have known I didn't have any money.
What's their problem? Did you win in
that
ASA?
That Amoco White 93 was some good stuff.
Amoco, Dave Blaney.
Yes, that freaking fuel was amazing.
Pure,
so that
pretty car.
You hit a nerve just now.
I asked you if you had won in ASA, and you said no.
Two things I'll go to my grave with. Got close. Never won in ASA and never won in the Cup Series. Just devastate me to this
really?
Day. Oh gosh, run second 3 times in Cup.
Yeah,
and all 3 of those a hell of a story, But
yeah.
Well, I don't even remember the damn question you asked me.
Well, we were just talking.
We're talking about ASA. I mean, because this is fascinating how you
broke.
But your climb through the ranks was rapid.
You get an opportunity to run in your first Xfinity or Busch National race. For the purists, they like to be called Busch. They don't want you to call Xfinity racing Xfinity when it's not Xfinity back then.
What is the deal? Can we talk about this for a moment?
People are very particular.
What is? I'm going to ask you, because you know history better than anybody.
Yeah.
What is the difference between Busch, Nationwide, and Xfinity?
Well, there's some differences, but Xfinity, I say Xfinity when I'm talking about 1989 for the new people.
I do the same thing. Yeah. To me, there's no difference.
No. So that the new people know that this was Xfinity back then, right? Well, you know it's Xfinity today.
Thank you.
This was the Xfinity. Because if I say to a new fan that's only been watching the sport for a couple of years, if I go, man, back in the Sportsman series, they're like,
what is that?
Well, is that good, bad? What is it? Sportsman, what is that? Street stock? They don't know. So, yeah.
That's a fair point, too.
So I always say I'm the same as you, Junior. Yeah. I say when I was in the Xfinity series, and they're like, you was in the Busch series, I'm like, it's the same thing.
Yeah, they get it. They get frustrated.
Yeah.
So how did you get this opportunity to drive Dad's car at Martinsville? You're racing ASA. You're living up in St. Louis. Yeah. Obviously, Rusty's racing in Cup. Dad and Rusty are becoming friends.
Right.
But how does Dad know you? Did Rusty go, hey, check out my
man.
buddy?
Great story. So Rusty, deep down, really wants to help me.
Yeah, of course.
And now he's making a little bit of money, right? I mean, remember, we come from St. Louis down south as the Clampetts. I mean, we're bringing our furniture and everything. Rusty starts making money, becomes really good friends with your dad. Your dad recognizes that Rusty's got talent. And my brother Rusty tells your dad, man, I wished I could help Herman. He's back there in St. Louis working on vacuum cleaners and running that ASA car. And so Rusty got hooked up with Cox Treated Lumber, okay? And, I mean, stop and think about it. This is where I owe my brother Rusty my life, really. Rusty and Patty think they have the brain that, hey, I'm going to call Herman up, and we're going to start an Xfinity team. Mm-hmm. I mean, stop and think about that. Going to build a building for me and everything. But at the time, NASCAR would not allow any driver to go to Daytona and just show up.
Right.
So I had never in my life drove anything in NASCAR. The only way I could go to Daytona, now remember, Rusty's going to build this team, okay? And the only way I'm going to be able to go to Daytona and run for Rookie of the Year or a championship is NASCAR's got to see me. Your dad tells Rusty, let's put Herman in my number 8 GM Goodrich Chevrolet.
Wow.
Talk about freaked out, man.
Right.
So I come down to V8 Road in Kannapolis, North Carolina. The Uris are there. Tony Senior's there.
Yeah.
And I come in, and I mean...
This is a shop next to Mamaw's house.
That's right.
There I am.
Before DEI.
That's right.
And what, I mean, you know this. I would never think I don't... But, I mean, I go in there, right? And I'm like... I mean, this shop is... I'm already saying what you know. I'm just telling the people.
Sure.
This shop is stuck in time.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're running up-to-date cars, but this steering wheel from 1956 is hanging in the rafters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it was like you looked up and it was a time warp. You looked down and we're in modern era.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Because this was Ralph Earnhardt's garage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool because I like, because you got a lot of your daddy in you where he liked to live, right? He would never take the steering wheel off the race car forever. He wanted to climb in to simulate old days. Mm-hmm. And I like that, you're rebuilding that car here. And so I go to V8 Road, and here I am putting my ASA seat in the number 8 GM Goodrich Chevrolet. Ronnie Hopkins builds this car. It's got different type trailing arms underneath it. Anyway, we go to Martinsville, we test. And it fast forward, and I go to Martinsville, drive hard. I don't know where I finished. It was okay. Yeah. 12th maybe. And NASCAR watched me. They still wouldn't approve me. So Rusty starts the team. Robert Black, the fly in my ear. So Robert Black is the leader of the Busch series back then.
Technical director.
Yeah, for some reason, he taunted me.
He taunted Daddy, too.
Sounds like a real
Hickory,
peach of a
North
guy.
Carolina. Well, there was that group up there. So anyway, he come down to David Iff's shop. So we couldn't build a shop right away. So my brother Rusty talked to David Iff, and David Iff was wonderful for me. Lake Wiley, South Carolina. Robert Black would come into that shop, and I'm testing, and he'd literally say, well, this car ain't running Daytona. In that southern twang, and I wanted to knock him out. And I come from St. Louis where we cuss like sailors, and we're ready to fight at any time. And I'm working on the car. I'm a fabricator / race car driver. And Robert Black comes down and looks at that car, and he goes, "This car ain't running Daytona." I mean, just destroys me.
Sure.
Why? Well, what happened? I mean, not why
He
did
was
it destroy
taunting
you?
me.
No, but what did he say was wrong with it?
No, he didn't think I was ready.
Oh, he didn't think you were ready.
Yeah, but I'm
Nothing
glad you
wrong with the
asked
car.
it that way. So he didn't think I was ready.
Okay.
So I call up Les Richter. God, I can't believe I'm remembering these names.
Yeah.
So Les Richter was the Mac Daddy back then.
Yeah.
He was the Mike Helton, so to speak.
Absolutely.
I think
For
I'm right.
NASCAR. Yep.
So listen to me pop my knuckles.
It's all right. Wow.
Sorry.
Good pop in there.
So I go down there, and this car is hauling ass. We got this thing cheated up so bad. We lengthened the ass of this Pontiac. We suck it in 2 inches. We nicknamed it the 2 + 2 + 2.
I remember that.
Toucan.
Yes.
Toucan was a great fabricator, and that thing looked like a football. And I sat on the pole, 192.7. I'll never forget it, 46 point something. And anyway, they finally approved me. They made us spend all that money. Had to keep going Daytona. I kept practicing, come down Pitt Road. And they finally approved me to run Daytona. And what
was it about guys like Robert Black and other people back then that would walk? They knew to walk in that shop and say that because they knew how much of a dagger that was going to be into your soul. You ain't running Daytona. Like, why even walk in there and do that in the middle of the damn day, in the middle of the off season when you're in there working your ass off? It seemed like that was common back then. In the 90s, Tony Sr., my dad even.
wanted to rough you up.
Oh, man, they would rough you up. They'd come in there and look at your car and say some shit about it. You'd be like, why you got to say that?
Exactly.
Just messing with you.
So Junior, I listen, I would never want to be a crew member again. These guys that in the Cup Series, man, have at it.
Yeah.
Meeting in the lobby at 4:35 in the morning. And I did that. And I wanted to do it, right? So I'd get to these Cup garage areas. I mean, you're going in, it's dark. It's like, I'm not a farmer. What the hell are we doing? You know what I mean?
I'm not a farmer.
So we'd get in here at 6 in the morning, and what was those two brothers' name? Gazaways. One of them had a big belly. The other one's kind of skinny.
Yeah.
Well, the one that had the bill Bill was the I forgot. Anyway, this is accurate and true. He looked at me, and I had the car on jack stands. The Cup car. Joe Ruttman driving, and I'm the crew chief. And he'd look at me, and he'd say, "Boy, get my car up higher so I can get underneath of it." And I'm like, can't you say, "Hey, Kenny, can you get the car up higher? My belly's too big."
Yeah.
No,
That's not what he
boy,
said.
get my car up higher. And I just ate crow, man.
He called it your car, his car.
Yes.
My car.
Yeah.
Yes, every car in NASCAR
Was his.
was Gazaway's. He had pissed people off knowing every car back in the 70s was his car. I'm like, dude, I built this son of a bitch. It's not your car.
Yeah.